Someone asked if AI is going to take over my job in the next 5 years. I said, how do you know it's not already doing it? Let's get to it. Welcome. Another fabulous episode of IBF On Demand. I'm definitely not AI and way less intelligent host, Eric Wilson. You can find me at eric@ibf.org. That's eric@ibf.org. Thanks for the follows and subscribes. Follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. You know all. It doesn't matter what I tell you. You're not going to do it anyway. But do what you want. I'm here. You're here today, and I'm glad of that. And we also have a sponsor here today as well, Arkiva. Driving business transformation by solving what others cannot. Thank you, Arkiva, a very special contributor and sponsor for this podcast. So check them out as well. Been way crazy busy lately and going to continue to be busy. So stick with me. I'm going to try to get these out every couple weeks as like I have been doing. But stick with it. If I miss a week, please be patient. Don't email me. I'm okay. It's going to come out the following week. We do have a lot going on. Check out IBF at ibf.org. You can check out most of the places I'm going to be, including Prague in May. And in June, we'll be in Chicago, and we'll be in lots of places in between. So check those out at ibf.org. I hope to see a few of you in Prague, by the way, as well. You know this is not AI because they can't dumb it down enough to do this. And that kind of brings me to today's topic. Today's topic, it's going to be a soapbox. Today, I'm going to rant and rave about a topic that really is bugging me. And I apologize, but you're forced to listen to it as well. Recently, on LinkedIn, there was an article on how AI is radically changing demand planning. So I naturally clicked it. It was clickbait. It was written clearly by like a chat GPT. And had generic information of it, and much of it was inaccurate information. Talking about things it was doing that it's not doing. Talking about generic terms of what AI would do, if naturally what you would think it would do, but we're still pretty much not seeing in the industry today. It was clearly clickbait written by a chat GPT or something, or by a bot. I said that was generic or misleading information. It irritated me so much that I wanted to comment on it. And when I clicked, I accidentally refreshed the page and the article went away. But guess what? I was so irritated that I wanted to try to find that article. And that's where the problem started. I went into the search at the top of LinkedIn and I put in something similar to the title. And that's where my page was filled with all these generically written, not by people, articles of trash. There was a lot of crap out there. There was pages and pages of crap written by bots. They were written by bots for bots to engage with. So guess what? I knew it always existed, but I didn't realize the extent that was out there. On social media, and on LinkedIn specifically where I was, there is pages of people who don't exist, bots, that are writing articles that really are trash or crap, articles about demand planning, supply chain, things of that sort, and a lot of other topics as well, that are being engaged by other bots. That's what's out there. As I said, I already knew it existed. I mean, on my feed, there's people writing infographic that had bad infographics that are sometimes bad information in them just because they're getting engagements, follows, likes. I get it. That's what's getting engagement. Full disclosure, I'm guilty of it as well. I allow, ChatGPT to help write some of the post, not for the articles itself, but for the post itself to be able to find, and it gets twice the engagement than if I wrote it myself. I'm not a marketer. I don't understand that. It does a better job than I do. I get that. But now we're not only writing the post, but writing the articles itself out there. And all we're doing is filling social media filling the internet with tons of crap that literally bots writing for other bots. And really, that's about where we're going to get. What's the future going to look like? What is the future? Well, the future is it's going to write based on the keywords, based on the generic information out there. And then other bots are going to look for those keywords and engage in that. And it's going to start engaging with itself. And then pretty soon, it's going to reduce down to only bots talking to bots is what's going to get majority of the engagements out there. We're probably already there right now. I mean, this is the perfect case for AI breeding mediocrity. And if you want to know what that's talking about, go back a few podcasts where that was actually a warning about AI breeding mediocrity. It's going to be an article coming out in the next Journal of Business Forecasting on exactly that topic. This, in essence, is a case study for that. AI breeding mediocrity. Because what we have is bots going out, finding the trash out there, the generic information, feeding that to more people who are getting more engagement. So guess what's going to get even more engagements in the future? That same trash, that same crap out there. Absolutely. AI is going to automate routine tasks. It understands probabilities much better than we can. It can access a lot more data a lot faster. But there's a lot of false claims out there. There's a lot of sci-fi, and especially when it comes to using the way AI. AI is an ambiguous term anyway. I mean, I really don't like the term because there really is no meaning to that word, AI. But it conjugates this sci-fi type of use cases of where we are, which we currently are not at. Yes, there is absolutely some great use cases for machine learning out there. There's some great use cases. And I said, we have them on this show and we talk about some of those realistic uses that we see. But we have to separate. We have to separate out what is fact and what is fiction of what we're seeing today, and what is fact and what we're fiction of what it may occur in the future. And generically regurgitating information is insane. And the crap out there, I mean, don't get mad, don't engage it, don't do like I do, because you're just going to feed into that algorithm then as well. So please, people, comment on real stuff, IBF stuff out there, other people's stuff out there, which are real, which are talking about what's going on today. Sort out, find those, comment on those, separate that facts from fiction. All right. Well, that's the first third of this podcast, and I'm done with that soapbox. We're going to get into the topic of the day, which is really about AI and fact and fiction and where it's going in the future. So that's my soapbox for today. As for me, I'm never going to sell out. I'm not going to do the things to try to game the algorithms, so don't worry. I'm not going to randomly mention Mr. Beast just so they can show up in the feed and search engine because I've mentioned Mr. Beast, or even find a way to squeeze in Taylor Swift mention or a Jake Paul, Mike Tyson reference just because they're in the news right now and it could game the algorithms and get high ranking. I'm not going to do any of that. I mean, I absolutely refuse. And rest assured, I'm not going to play those games here. And we're not going to use phrases like telling you what they don't want you to know about AI or 101 things you need to know before your next job. I'm not going to use phrases like that because that's not the place for it. So we're going to talk about AI and generative AI and Gen AI and big data and data science, predictive analytics, and Elon Musk and Apple and Amazon and types and stuff like that. But I'm not going to throw in keywords and buzzwords just for the sake of throwing in those buzzwords. Today we're going to talk really about what AI is going to do in the next 5 years, or what machine learning, let's use the right terminology, what machine learning predictive analytics is going to do in the next 5 years to your jobs. In the next 5 years, about 20% of jobs or more will be fundamentally changed by technology. That is reality. A fourth of the jobs out there are going to fundamentally change because of technology. Absolutely. But how much is going to change is really the key. I was at a conference recently, and it was a unique conference at the University of Kentucky. We do it every year. Next year, we're going to be in March, if you want to check out the 15th Annual Supply Chain Forum. But it's a nice mixture between grad students, MBA students, practitioners, professionals in the field. It really brings those two together. And I was conducting a roundtable, and I already had about half of each group at my table. And I asked the students, I said, what do you think 2 years from now, when you're graduating, next year, the year after, you're graduating, how do you think technology is going to enable your job? And the responses back were how technology is going to revolutionize communication and make communication very seamless and the visibility between functions. And how AI is going to help with contracts for purchasing and being able to optimize in supply chain. And there was really some revolutionary ideas where they envisioned technology really being able to take over a big portion of today's jobs and enable them to do other jobs better. And they were fully on board with trusting AI's output and embracing machine learning and technology to be able to do things that they seemed almost were routine or large data type problems, and being able to do it for them. That was their vision of 2 years from now. Then I leaned over and talked to the professionals, the practitioners who were currently in the job, and asking them what would their jobs look like today, and they really seen it changing much in the next 2 years. And talking with them, they were like, well, 40% of our job right now is in Excel. 40% or more of what they do is in Excel today. And 70% of the time is manipulating bad data or just trying to find the right data sources to try to do menial tasks. Communication was still going to be manual and actually having to email people and waiting for responses on email and taking days sometimes to get responses back on key information you needed to be able to complete a task. That's what they saw today. And for a lot of you, that's your world you're living in. And when you ask, you really see that changing in the next 2 years? No. You're asking their trust of data, trusting their trust of some of the systems they have in place, and there's not a lot of trust in place. So when you look at the students and you look at the professionals, there's this large gap. There's this large canyon between the two of them. Well, in 2 years, they're going to be working together. Someone is wrong. Someone's disillusioned about what the future is going to be. Someone is unprepared. Or maybe both of them really were. Because most likely that answer is going to be somewhere, some type of bridge in between the two. And one is not fully ready for the ambiguity, the chaos, and not using AI and having to trust on some of their own skill sets. And the other ones are not embracing AI enough. And really that answer is somewhere between the two. So if you want to look at where we're going to be 5 years from now in our business and how your job's going to change, it will change. It will change from where it is now. It's not going to be a lot of these pictures that they're painting right now in some of these bots that are writing false articles, but it will be different and fundamentally different than what you're doing now. So if you ask me, is AI going to take over your job? Well, really, it depends. I think we need to rephrase that question. How about, is AI going to change your job? Or let's be realistic, is machine learning and predictive analytics and technology going to change your job? Then I can absolutely say 100% confidence, yes. If you look at your job, though, as a task, guess what? Somebody else can do it. If you look at your job as a task, technology most likely can be programmed to be able to do it. If you look at your job as insights, outputs, a process, which guess what? Majority out there, that's what we're doing, then guess what? It won't take over, but we have to be prepared for how it's changing. Machine learning, content, information that we can get from technology, it's informative. If you look at it in the world of generative AI and natural language process, and guess what? They can produce an article that is very well written, and most of the time, it lacks sufficient depth and perspective, though. That's why you can right now you can tell it's generic. You can tell it's written by a chat GPT because it lacks any substance to it. AI right now, or technology right now, cannot generate fundamentally a new idea on its own. It cannot support all the activities that lead to new ideas, creativities, the interactive exchange of collaboration, discussing ideas with others, really driving to a consensus and really developing new insights. It doesn't do that on its own. Technology can crunch more data faster. I get it. Can do probabilities better. I get it. But being a planner is much more than that. As I said before, if you define what you do as a task, absolutely you can be replaced. But it's those soft skills that make a good planner. I've said this a few times in other podcasts. It's worth repeating once more because it's a great quote. And I can't say it's my quote. I don't know who to give credit to because I don't know where it came from. But I use this quote over and over again. As one thing becomes commoditized, something else becomes a premium. I guarantee you going forward, a lot of the data sides of things, the algorithm sides of things, they're going to become more and more commoditized. We're already seeing that today. Data is becoming more and more commoditized as far as access, being able to do things with the data, be able to find patterns in the data, be able to cleanse the data. That's already becoming more commoditized. Algorithms, there's already low code or even no code options out there that allow you to do machine learning with very little data science experience or skill sets, being able to have to code in R or Python. So the algorithms, the data is going to become more and more commoditized. With that, there's still going to be a need for planning. There's still going to be a need for what we do, but it's going to evolve and other skill sets are going to become the premium. Talking with employers today, this isn't 5 years in the future. Talking to employers today, talking to hiring managers today. IBF looks at this, did research on this, the top 5 skill sets in order. What do you think the top 5 skill sets in order they're looking for today? Number 1 on that list today for a demand planner, for anybody doing analysis, anybody doing forecasting, anybody doing supply planning. These are the number 1 skill set today is not, I want to code, I want to do this magic math skills. No, number 1 skill, communication, influencing skills. And I will guarantee you that is going to become even more important as we go forward. So when you look at how our jobs are going to change, yes, but the number 1 skill most likely still going to be in the future is that communication and influencing skill. Data is going to do amazing things. Algorithms are going to do amazing things. But being able to communicate those is still going to be a people thing. Understanding the audiences, understanding the nuances, understanding what's important, understanding how to translate those, understanding and translating those into multiple people's worlds, that's what's going to be the important aspect. Influencing. There's still going to be a large amount of people out there that aren't buying into tech, that don't understand it. Guess what? They don't have to understand it. If you have those people that can help not only explain it, but influence you into understanding how these results can impact our business, those are the skills you're going to need. So communication and influencing skills, number 1. Number 2 on our list, still not the math, still not the science part of things. It's the organizational awareness. We still live in an organization that has multiple functions. We're getting flatter and flatter. But guess what? There's still marketing. There's still supply. There's still finance. There's still executive. There's still, supply, demand, all the different functions inside of an organization. Why? Because they each serve a purpose. And with that, bridging that gap between the different organizations, each one has a purpose, but they also have an objective to kind of bridge that gap between the objectives, to understand the impacts of this to every other part of the organization is important. Forecast is still driving an organization, and I can say that without bias. Every decision is based on a forward-looking forward-looking projection. If that's true, then every function is making decisions based on some type of internal forecast, projection of what they're going to think, what they think is going to happen in the future. It may be their own gut feel. It may be a one number type of forecast. Guess what? It's still a forecast. And as you can help drive foresight in the organization, you can do that better with organizational awareness. That's a human skill still. So guess what? That's going to be a skill that's going to carry us into the future. Number 3, we're still not dealing with the math. We're still not dealing with the statistics and science part of things. Number 3 on our list, and I really truly believe this is going to become more and more important as we go forward, is that curiosity, is that learning agility. The one thing I'm seeing a lot in the skill sets of the youth that's coming in aren't that they can code, aren't that they can do a lot of different things. It's they have the curiosity to learn new things. And guess what? Us old fogies out there, things are changing. Technology is going to become more and more part of our lives. So that curiosity, that learning agility, we can't stop it now. We have to get on board and start learning new skills, learning new technology, because it is going to become part of what we do. And it's going to continue to change at exponential speed. So with that, we need to stay on board with the changes. It's not that you learn it all in school and then you do this for the next 30 years. What's happening in business today and the speed of business is continuous change, continuously adapting, and with that, the skill set we need today and even more so carrying us into the future is that curiosity, is the learning agility becomes a key. And that is still a human skill to be able to adapt to as things change as well. Absolutely, technology is going to radically change our business in the next 5 years. We need the curiosity and learning agility to adapt with that curiosity, with the technology, to be able to adapt with what we're seeing. Number 4, guess what? We finally get to the mathy things, analytical skills. But even then, in analytical skills, there's a lot of other things baked into the analytical skills. Connectivity, to see the one thing's connected to another. Critical thinking skills, that's an analytical skill as well. So critical thinking skills, connectivity, those are all analytical skills. So it's not just knowing how to do a neural network or understanding what a hidden layer of a neural network is. You may never need to know that. But having the analytical skills of critical thinking, being able to, the connectivity, those are analytical skills the same way the math and statistics, the same way, equal weighting with both of those are all umbrellaed under an analytical skills. But having those analytical skills are something you need to hone, something you need to perfect, something you need to have more probability thinking. You need to think more probabilistic than linear. You need to think more of the critical thinking skills versus the, being more deterministic in your thinking. Those things you need to push yourself and to develop as well. Finally, number 5 on the list is, this is one of my main things I was trying to stress a few podcasts ago when I talked about AI is breeding mediocrity. When you're looking at breeding mediocrity with machine learning, any type of predictive analytics, becoming too reliant on it, too reliant on the outputs, it driving towards a norm or a mean. What we need is objectivity. That's number 5 on our list. And this is what people are telling us. Objectivity comes number 5 is because we need people to question with boldness what the answer is. We need people to have the answer, but why? Why becomes one of the most important questions you can start asking now and in the future. That person who not only embraces technology, but also asks why. That becomes a key skill set in the future and in the new jobs we're going to have in the future. So is technology going to change the jobs we do in the next 5 years? Yes. What's that job going to look like? Time will tell. I can't tell you exactly what that job's going to look like. I can tell you what we do is not going away. There's going to be even more need for it in the future. Guarantee that. And the skills we're going to need are communication, influencing skills, organizational awareness, curiosity, learning agility, absolutely analytical thinking, including critical thinking, being able to probabilistic thinking, being able to connectivity, and being able to ask that why, the objectivity. That is going to be the people we need. So no matter which side of the equation you're on, whether you're that student's coming into the job in 2 years that's idealistically thinking of what technology is going to do for them, and they need to adapt to really what technology really does, or that person in the field now that's not fully embracing technology, that needs to get on board and start embracing more of the technology, the answer is going to be somewhere in the middle. Absolutely, things are going to change. We need to really help define what that and be prepared for what those changes are going forward. And absolutely, it's not what you see in some of this crap that's being put out today, some of this sci-fi that's really painting a picture of what's happening now that's truly not happening. There are use cases for it. Get outside of the sci-fi. Get into some realistic expectations of what we're seeing and what you need to do, and start preparing yourself for where we're going to be tomorrow. Well, that's a wrap. I'm going to go scroll through social media. At least the women on Tinder, they're all real and none of them are bots. My name is Eric Wilson. You can find me at eric@ibf.org. That's eric@ibf.org. Thanks for Arkiva for driving business transformation by solving what others cannot. Thank you, Arkiva, a fabulous sponsor. And thank you once again, IBF. Once again, there's a ton of real articles out there written by real practitioners and real world experiences. Check out demand-planning.com. Check out ibf.org. There's a Journal of Business Forecasting just coming out, the spring edition. There's a ton of great articles written on demand-planning.com. We have town halls that talk about where we are seeing things today. We're going to talk about a lot of those case studies that are evolution or revolutionary between what's happening. But there's a lot of real world practical application you can see today. So check out, please, go to ibf.org, go to demand-planning.com, go to my LinkedIn page where I share a lot of these articles as well. Engage with them, engage with those articles, engage with my podcast, engage with my LinkedIn as well. Help spread the word of what is actually going on. We're competing against technology and science, and guess what? We're going to lose in that battle. So we need your help with that then as well. And remember the one thing that still cannot be automated. Don't forget, wash your hands.